Hi, today I'm going to talk about integers. So adding, subtracting integers. Now we have four different scenarios where you're adding and subtracting integers. There is no fifth one. It's always these four scenarios right here. Lots of students struggle with adding integers. It's just some students don't see how to go about it. Some students will look at the number line and see where everything is falling on the number line. A different approach I just want to explain to you here. So I'm going to look at the first two situations here, where here we have 3 plus 4, which is obviously 7. But if we talk about this, if you look at the 3, it's positive here, and it's a plus 4. So it's plus 3 plus 4, and that's why we're adding the two numbers, and we're getting 7. Now, if you look at this second one here, it's negative 5 minus 2. So it seems like it's the same thing as the first one, where the first one it was positive 3 plus 4. This one is also negative 5 minus 2. It's both of them are negative. So all here you're going to add the two numbers, but you'll get negative 7 because both of them are negatives. Now let's look at these two situations here. So if you look at these two situations right here, you'll notice the sign here and the sign here are opposite. So if the signs are opposite, so all you need to do in your head is go 7 minus 3, which is 4. But then you go back and you look at both numbers. Which one is bigger? It's the 7. The 7 has a negative in front of it, so therefore the answer should be negative. Again, if we look at this situation right here, we have 4 minus 9. So if you look at this, it's a minus 9 and this is a plus 4. So both of them are opposite. This is positive, this is minus. Therefore, whenever it's positive and minus, you have to subtract the numbers. So here you look at the two numbers, you subtract them, you go 9 minus 4 is 5. But then you go back and look at which one is the bigger number. It's the 9. What does the 9 have in front of it? It has a negative, so the answer should be negative 5. How about if they start doing this to you? So they put this in brackets, minus negative 8. So my advice to you when you get something like this, if you want to follow this method on top, is change this, get rid of the brackets. So this brackets here has no need whatsoever, so you could just write this as negative 5. This bracket here, minus a negative, whenever you're minusing a negative, because the signs are the same, it becomes plus 8, sorry, plus 8. And therefore, negative 5 plus 8, it follows this here, this last two. So if you're looking at the signs here, the 8 and the 5, they have opposite signs. Therefore, you're subtracting the two numbers. So you just go 8 minus 5 is 3. And the bigger number is the 8, and it has a positive sign in front of it. So the answer should be positive. And also, if you could read from right to left, in Arabic, you read from right to left, you could just read it backwards. You could go 8 minus 5, which is 3. We're going to do more examples with the adding and subtracting integers before we go to multiplying and dividing. So I'm just going to give you a few examples here, and we'll continue. So there we go. I just throw in some questions in there, and want to go over them with you. So here again, I'll always say, like, don't leave it in this form. I'd rather you write it as, and I'm going to use a different color for the answers. This just simply negative 5, that those brackets don't do anything. But this is a plus and a plus besides one another, like this. When the signs are the same, they just simply be plus 6. So now you have negative 5 plus 6, which gives you 1. And the reason is because this is opposite sign, this one and this one. So it's a subtracting. 6 minus 5 is 1, and 6 is bigger. And since 6 has a positive sign besides it, then the answer should be positive. Now let's look at this. Get rid of the brackets, this negative 5. The brackets around it mean nothing. These two signs are opposite. They're not the same. When they are opposite, this simply becomes minus, not plus. 3. Now, since this sign and this sign are the same, then you're adding these two numbers, except you're adding them in the negative direction. So it'll give you a negative 8. If you started off on the number line, okay, on the number line here, you start off at the beginning, which is, if this is 0, you're starting off at negative 5. And let's say negative 5 was here. So you're starting right here, and you could go in this direction or in that direction. But since you're minusing, you're going in the negative direction. So you're going in the negative direction 3 spaces, which gets you to negative 8, if you want to use the number line to do this. So sometimes using different methods, but eventually you should be able to do this a lot faster than number lines. And now, because both of them are negative, you should add the two numbers. You should get to your own conclusion. And as I began this lesson, I gave you 4 scenarios. I said it's all in there. So if you understand how those 4 works, you'll be able to answer every question. And that's with respect to integers. One thing that I always advise my students to do is get rid of those brackets. Okay, so here if we do that, it's negative 7. Again, plus or minus, it's going to be minus, because these two signs are opposite. Then it becomes one sign as minus 4. Now you're sitting at negative 7, and the number line, and you're going 4 to the left. That's going to take you to negative 11. Or this is like addition, because the two signs are the same. So 7 plus 4 is 11. But since it's minuses, then it gives you a negative answer. Let's go to D here. So this will give me negative 7. And these two signs are the same. So when the signs are the same, written in this format, that becomes plus 2. And negative 7 plus 2, if you're looking at the number line, okay, doing this, and let's say this is the 0 and you're sitting at negative 7 right there. That's where you start. You start at this number. You're sitting at negative 7. And if you plus, you go right. If you subtract, you go left. So you're sitting at negative 7 and you're plussing 2. So you just go 2 spaces to the right, and that will take you to negative 5. So the answer is negative 5. So basically it's 7 minus 2, which gives you 5. The bigger number has a negative sign, so it should be negative 5, not positive 5. Now, how about if we have 3 things that are added and subtracted? Still, I have to get rid of the brackets, and I don't like having two signs besides one another like this. So this bracket is no need for the bracket there at all. So just negative 14. Negative and negative is positive. So that's plus 12. And negative and positive opposite signs give me minus 3. So negative 14 plus 12. So you're starting at negative 14. You're moving 12 to the right. That means you're going to get down to negative 2. So this becomes negative 2 minus 3 if you want to do it in strides. Negative 4 plus 12 is negative 2. And then if you're sitting at negative 2 right here, there's the 0 there, and you're minusing, that means you're going left 3 spaces, and that will take you to negative 5. But just add these two numbers. And then since both are negative, just put a negative 5 there. So always find your own trick, on how to do these things. You might like the number line. You might see it, like I'm seeing it here. Negative 5 plus 6 is 1. Negative 5 minus 3, negative 8. So just find a way that you're comfortable with, and eventually you make your own conclusions, because this is not hard at all. This is actually very easy once you get it. But we noticed some students get confused about adding and subtracting integers. And, you might see different ways that different teachers approach to do this. Sometimes when you're trying to do a couple of approaches at the same time, they don't work and they have a conflict. So stick to one, that makes sense to you. So here, getting rid of the brackets. So negative 8, opposite signs. When that's opposite signs, it becomes minus 3. Again, opposite signs, so it becomes minus 5. And here, the same signs, when it's the same signs, they become plus 16. Negative 8 minus 3 is negative 11. And then negative 11 minus 5 is negative 16. You notice I'm going more to the left when I'm minusing. So negative 8 minus 3 gets me to negative 11. I minus 5 again, it gets me to negative 16. But now, you know, from 0, I got to negative 16. That's what I'm at. And now I have to come back 16 to the right because I'm plusing 16. So that gives me back to 0. So negative 16 plus 16 is basically 0 because, you know, there are two numbers that are opposite. When you add them, you're going to get 0. Okay. Let's see if we could explore a few more things. So now we have different questions, and we're going to look at this a little bit differently. So here you have something in brackets, negative 8 plus 5. I'm just going to take you maybe through the number line right here. Okay. There's the 0. I'm not going to put all the numbers in there, but let's say if you're doing this using the number line, this is your starting point. So what you're starting at negative 8. So let's say this is negative 8. So that's where you're starting. So you're either going to go left or you're going to go right. If you're adding, you're going right 5 spaces. That will take you to negative 3. Because, you know, once you know you're going right, you know, it's negative 8 plus 5 gives you negative 3. Minus. I'm going to keep this in brackets for now. Now here it's 17 minus 9. So 17 minus 9, that's what you're used to. 17 minus 9 is going to be 8. So now this simply becomes negative 3 minus 8. I don't like the brackets there, which, you know, if you're sitting at negative 3 right here, and because you're minusing, you're going 8 this way. So to the 3, you're adding the 8, but in the negative direction, and you're going to get negative 11 right there. Negative 30 minus 20 is going to give you negative 50 minus negative 20 minus 30 will also give you negative 50. And the reason is, like on the number line, you're sitting, you start at negative 20, you know, that is 0 right there, for instance, you know, you're sitting at negative 20. Since you're minusing, you're going to the left 30. So you're just adding the 30 in the negative direction to this, which leads you to negative 50. That's how you look at it, if you want to look at it this way. So negative 50 plus 50 gives you 0. Because if you're sitting at negative 50, let's say right here, and now I'm looking at this right here. So now you either go left or right because it's a plus. When it's a plus, you go right 50. So if you go right 50 from negative 50, it's going to get you back to 0 right there. So 3 minus 7, eventually you should be able to start clicking without even using a number line. So 3 minus 7, this is the 0. You're sitting at 3. That's always start at the beginning number right there, at the starting number. So, and then if you're minusing, now you're minusing 7, you want to go 7 this way, you know, let's say that's the 0. So if you're sitting at 3, you go 7 that way, you know, that's going to take you to negative 4 because it's, if you even do the number line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From 3, you go in 7 this way, it takes you to negative 4. But if you look at it, if you go 7 minus 3 is 4, like even with, but however, you're going left. So that's why the answer should be negative 4 plus you're sitting at 5, you're going 9 this way, then just go 9 minus 5 because you're going that way is going to get you to a negative answer. And then minus, you're sitting at 2 and you're going 7 this way. So 2, you're going 7 this way. It's going to get you, so 7 minus 2 is 5, and you're going to jump into the negative part of that number line. So it's going to be negative 5. And now we don't like the two sides, the two signs right here and the two signs right here. I don't like that. Some teachers, they do it this way. I rewrite this as negative 4. When it's opposite signs, plus and minus, I just write minus 4. When they are the same signs, they become plus, and it's plus 5. Now, negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. Oops. I said 3 and I wrote 8. -3. Now, if you just want to see how the last bit on a number line, and I'm going to make it maybe more detailed this time, just so that, but eventually you shouldn't be using the number line though. You should arrive to your own conclusions that, oh, okay, that's how it works. There's the number line. Let's say this is 0 right here, you know, and then 1, 2, 3, and then here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the negative direction. So that's -5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's -10. So here, if you're doing this, you're starting at -4. So you go to where -4 is and you go up. Now, if you're minusing 4, you're going 4 spaces this way, which is right here, and that will take you to -8. And after that, you're adding 5. So you go from -8 right here, and you're adding 5. So you're going 5 this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to here, and that will take you to -3. Yes, I hope this will help you understand integers a little bit more. As I always say, math is like a puzzle, and puzzles are fun to solve. The next time, I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.